Bentley at the 1. Bentley has an angle, and he's got just the kicker to beat. Bentley at the 30, the 25, the 15, a 99-yard kickoff return.
Over the top. Oh, stuffed by Bertrand. Yikes.
Now it's time for Illini Drive, your home on the way home for Illini sports every Monday at 6. Only on Champagne's Alternative, WPGU 107.1 FM.
Joey Gelman, host, Chicago, Illinois.
Steve Bourbon, co-host, St. Charles, Illinois.
Sam Sherman, co-host, Wilmette, Illinois.
Jeff Omer, social media guru, Naperville, Illinois. Torrance Surreal, producer, Shad City, baby.
We all know that we got to continue to improve for 4 quarters of football. If I had to name something about this football team right now, though, I would say that they're resilient.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Illini Drive. This isn't a joke, or yeah, not Joe. I don't look like Joe. We about the same height though, but no Joey Gelman, no problem. We're gonna have him in the second half of the show. He's taking care of business, but the show must go on, right? You're listening to the Illini Drive on WPGU 107.1, and I am your producer / host for today, Torrance Surreal. I'm alongside my colleagues, my homies, my guys, my home skill and home slice, Steve Bourbon and Sam Sherman. And how you guys doing today, man?
Can't complain, other than it's Monday.
Sam, you good, man?
I'm actually really excited. I had coffee today. I don't usually do that. So
that's a good adjustment, you know.
So we'll see what happens.
You can follow us on Twitter at Illini Drive, and please do so because our social media guru Jeff Omer, this guy literally tweets in his sleep. So make sure you give him some love too. The show will also re-air Wednesdays at 9 p.m. thanks to the great guys at UPTV for putting our lovely mugs on the screen. And I hope you guys do so this week because this Wednesday holds a sentimental value to me because it's my birthday week. So you know you gotta watch me on my birthday. Getting old, man. You know I might cry on my first day hosting. You know.
Is that 22?
Yeah, big 22.
Is there anything that happens when you're 22 that you can't do when you're?
It's the first one down the hill. It's just all downhill from there.
Just means I'm getting older.
We're just getting older and
Life's slowly getting more depressing.
Yeah, man. We have a great show tonight for you guys. Unfortunately, no football tickets this week as the Illini will travel to Lincoln, Nebraska this weekend. But on a positive note, the Illini defeated a Sun Belt opponent in Texas State in a crazy game that featured a 2-hour rain delay. We're gonna get it to that a little bit shortly. In the middle portion of the show, we have an expert on ACL injuries, Heather Schaefer from Champagne's Accelerated Physical Therapy, coming in to educate us. So I'm going to need you guys to put on your thinking caps tonight.
And actually, Torrance, it's good because, you know, you're going to be 22 soon. Your body's going to start breaking.
Oh, man, already? That's a low blow, man. Already? And lastly, we're going to dive into the national landscape of collegiate football and talk a little bit of famous Jameis Winston and oh man, that's a troublemaker, man. He's a handful.
He's got some issues. I don't know.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely we're gonna touch on that later on the show. But first segment, football, 3-1, bowl game bound. These guys are not gonna lose another game.
They might not. That's
might not.
Saturday.
No games between their last one and their next one will they lose.
I mean, at one point, I could see Beckman saying we might not lose this week. You know, during the week. Till Friday.
We'll win every practice.
They do win every practice.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So you guys had the marvelous opportunity to cover the 2-hour rain delay. So first of all, just from a reporting standpoint, how was it?
It was terrible. I mean, one of the best parts. Obviously, I love football and covering the game and everything, but you know, I really look forward to the food in the press box. So I had my pregame meal before the game. And so during the rain delay, you know, they've got coffee and, you know, like a bag of chips or something. I was waiting for them to wheel out, you know, dinner. Mm-hmm. And you know, it never came.
And it's unfair because had we known, I was expecting that more food was going to come out. And had I known that there would be no more food, I would have just stockpiled food from earlier. Well, then again, I guess we didn't know that there was going to be a
rain delay. Yeah.
And it was funny because the Texas State was leading before the rain delay. So you would think that the Beckman had anything to do with the weather because I honestly think if that weather if that storm didn't strike, I mean, the way Texas State were playing.
Say what you want about Tim Beckman, but the man knows how to control the weather.
But on another positive note, Josh Ferguson, 190 yards, career high, played like the Josh Ferguson that everyone wants to see. Obviously a spark for the team. That's something that they're going to need going down in a struggling rushing game as far as the first few games.
Yeah, it was right off the first play. They kind of threw a little swing pass. They initially ruled it a pass, but it was backwards, so he got rushing yards for it.
Yeah.
Kind of cheating, the stats a little bit, but 75 yards to the house. Kind of got him going a little bit. And he had another one in the fourth quarter. I thought he was going to go all the way.
Yeah.
He got tired or something and got caught from behind. But I think he just needs to beg for more touches. I mean, anytime he touches the ball, he could take a little dump off and just has all the moves in the book to get out of anything. He's got to get it more.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, finally, when I was watching the game, I saw the Josh Ferguson of last year, or years prior, where he's just been really dominant when he gets the ball in the open field and what he can do. I mean, that speed, it's just. Even going to Big Ten play, that speed's going to obviously be something that they're going to need to rely on.
Right.
And so by no means there are some positives to take out of the game. That being said, there's a whole lot of
concerns.
Yeah, as well. I mean, again, I think the defense. If you're listeners to the Illini,
Sam's defense.
What do you have to say for yourself now?
I thought it was another situation where I thought that there were spots, but I'm kind of realizing that the more and more I say every week, yeah, there's spots. I'm liking this, I'm liking that, but overall it's not good. Maybe that just means that they're not good.
Their pass rush was good. DJ Smoot had himself a game. He had 2 sacks in 3 plays. Jihad Ward was all over the place. I mean, it looks like he's finally learning how to play defensive end and not just be like Julius Peppers' size and speed. So, I mean, if he can come around, their front four was pretty solid. But, Texas State's offense didn't really scare me.
We didn't see that 65 to nothing type offense.
Yeah, I mean, they did that against, Arkansas, Pine Bluff?
Pine Bluff.
That powerhouse that is Arkansas.
Perennial powers.
But, if you look at the thing that was really concerning me with the defense is that the quarterback, Texas State's quarterback Tyler Jones, as he was doing a lot of options and kind of keepers and things like that, and Illinois had no answer for that pretty much. I mean, eventually when they came out after the delay, they started kind of figuring that stuff out. But out of the gates, I mean, he was pretty much doing whatever he wanted to, and he wasn't taking shots down the field because he didn't really have to early on. He was able to either do little screen passes, hold on to it, take it himself, and that's something that all season long Illinois struggled with.
Yeah, I mean, in that first quarter and a little bit before the delay, even in the first half, I mean, they were making him look like Manziel out there. I mean, he was getting away from everything, and they're throwing screens, and they didn't really challenge Illini down the field, but they didn't have to.
Yeah.
I mean, they could just kind of work their way, 7 yards, 8 yards, 6 yards, just really consistent all the way down the field. And that's the problem for this Illinois defense. They can't get off the field unless they get a sack, or a sack, or I mean, other than that, I don't know. They unless they get a big play, they're not just going to have a drive where they allow a 2-yard run and then a couple incompletions or something. I mean, it takes something drastic for them to get off the field.
One thing I just noticed too is just those first half woes. This is just something you just see so constant. You see that from the first 4 games of the season. It's something you seen last year as well. It's like they just can't shake it off.
I don't know what it is. I mean, Beckman's showing videos of dragsters or something.
Well,
not working, I guess.
I mean, one thing, and actually this was something I liked that Tim Beckman did in this last game was, they had a really ideal drive for them to open that game. I mean, in terms of getting out of the gate quickly and all that kind of stuff. But then there's a missed extra point. And eventually we would see a new kicker coming in.
David Reisner.
Ooh, Reisner.
And that's something that Beckman was fed up with. And to then miss an extra point, to open a game when you're kind of and even though it's just 1 point, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that you can't be doing that kind of stuff. And so it was nice to see Tim Beckman kind of be fed up with something and kind of do something about it and just say, you know what, Reisner, get in there. And he played well. I mean,
yeah, he did his job.
He did his job.
He didn't mess up.
Yeah.
Which is all you really want out of your kicker.
And it's just things like, maybe it's because they opened up probably how Beckman wanted them to, but then to miss an extra point, it kind of then there has to be something that happens to slow them down.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it's just that one point, it is sort of a little bit of a momentum, I don't want to say killer, but something that doesn't exactly help them.
Yeah, but they need to get these starts figured out. I mean, obviously we saw against Washington, they got down 35-5 in a flash. I mean, against Nebraska this week, we'll get to that a little later, but I mean, they could get down. It could get ugly early.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something that's just gonna have to. I mean, I think that it's really. I mean, it's a lot of decision making on offense, and that's going to be another interesting thing to watch for this offense, especially going to Big Ten play. How are they going to, especially this weekend in Nebraska in a night game? I think it's Nebraska's homecoming game.
Yep.
That's going to be a huge test. I know Washington was a big test as well, and really, I guess every game has been a test for them this season. But to kind of see the decisions that they're making under pressure in these environments that are going to be really hostile, it's going to be. We'll know. I think they'll know early on how that game's going to go.
Yeah, but the thing that really just confuses me is the offense. I mean, after that break, they had 3 passing yards in the first quarter. 3. I think Lunt was 1 of 3 for 3 yards, something like that. And then after the break, they go. After Texas State scored, they go 75 yards and 7 plays or something like that. Just go right down the field and just get into this rhythm. And I don't get. I mean, we've seen this multiple times. It takes them multiple quarters to get going, and I just don't understand that.
You can't keep having that, especially from a quarterback standpoint. I mean, West Clint can only do so much, especially in the fourth quarter. You might see gaps that's going to be like about 20, 40-point deficits that are going to be playing some of these teams. So, I mean, non-conference, I mean, you could let that slide, but conference-wise, it's going to be ugly when you in those big deficits.
Right. I mean, coming back against the non-conference opponent, and especially the ones that they've been playing, obviously with the exception of Washington.
Right.
I mean, coming back, there is room for error, I guess, because you at a certain point, your guys are stronger, your guys are faster than the opponent. Mm-hmm. But that's going to be the opposite in Big Ten play. They're going to be going up against guys in teams who are quicker, who are stronger, who are bigger, and they're going to capitalize on those mental errors that the Illini make. So, I think we'll talk about this Nebraska game over this weekend, or we'll talk about this weekend's game right now, I guess.
Well, we'll be talking about all week, but we're on the air right now. So,
that's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
And I think that they'll know a lot. Like I said before, they'll kind of know a lot more about how Big Ten play is going to go overall, even just from one game, this upcoming one.
It'd be nice for them if they didn't get blown out by Nebraska.
I think it's really hard to see a win here.
Yeah.
Just based on how this team's played. But I think that if you at least for some of the game can be competitive, and I think if they can show that, then you can maybe take something. But it's going to be
I mean, if you don't get like a demoralizing loss, then you have Purdue at home the next week. You gotta think that's a win, and then you're 4-2, and you're actually. I mean, the rest of the schedule, there's probably no clear-cut wins.
I don't even see Purdue. Honestly, I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, but if you can get to 4-2 and not get embarrassed this weekend, then the bowl game is not such a pipe dream.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm just trying to see. I'm trying to see where those other wins come, because I think that Northwestern would be the other possibility, but again, that's on the road, and you're not
on the road. In Chicago, I mean, it'll be more orange and purple there.
That's true, but they are
right.
They are it's facing Chicago's Big Ten team,
who lost to DeKalb's MAC team earlier this year.
Guys, I'm looking at the schedule right now. Next, they have Nebraska, Purdue, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Ohio State, Iowa, Penn State, and Northwestern.
We can go. Can we go over the schedule? Do we have time to can we come to a consensus on these games and what we think might happen?
Let's do it. Let's do an express run through it.
Little express run. Okay, Nebraska.
Lost by 3 touchdowns.
Purdue.
They'll win by 6.
Wisconsin.
Lose by 41 points.
I love his reaction, man. He's so serious, man.
It's a science.
Minnesota.
Toss up. I don't know. That's gonna be the make or break for the bowl game. I think right there.
Homecoming too.
Homecoming, yeah.
Illini's homecoming. Ohio State.
Ooh.
Without Braxton Miller.
With,
They'll just lose by like 30.
yeah, only 27 on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, what about Iowa?
Iowa, I think they'll lose, but it'll be closer than the experts think.
Yes.
It'll be last year's Penn State game.
Speaking of Penn State, that's the next opponent.
That's gonna be rough. Hackenberg's the real deal.
Yeah.
And then Northwestern.
Northwestern is a win.
So that could potentially
we're at
be
5.5. And
that could potentially be
6.5
5.
right now.
Yeah,
This
potentially
is
be.
that Minnesota game. Obviously, we're looking so far ahead. You know, knowing us, they'll lose to Purdue and
But
dash our hopes.
it is going back though. Like I do think that if they get absolutely blown out this weekend, I think that you can make a pretty fair guess that the rest of the Big Ten slate for them will not go too well. Because I think if you can show any kind of competitive, any kind of competitive game, then you kind of get for them. They kind of get like, oh, we can go up against some of these guys. Because Nebraska's a good team, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they will be playing, I guess, lesser Big Ten teams. Not a lot. I mean, they've got a tough schedule going ahead, but they'll learn. I think fans and I think the team will learn a lot about themselves.
I mean, yeah. Bottom line, I know we have to go soon, but you look at the schedule before the year. If we do kind of what we just did, you pencil in 3-1. They're 3-1. It hasn't been pretty, but they're W's. They're not. They have one loss and they got 3 W's. So they're halfway to a bowl game. I mean, they put themselves in probably the best realistic possibility so far. Now, has it looked great? No. Do we have our doubts? Probably more so than we did to start the year, but they're still 3-1.
All right. Before we go on break, I just want to touch a little bit on Viangelo Bentley, the pick six. With that pick six, he now became the first Illini since Red Grange in 125 years to return a kickoff punt and an interception for a touchdown.
Red Grange.
The Red Grange.
Galloping Ghost.
I'm starting to believe that Red Grange was the only person who played on those.
The Wheaton Iceman.
Those Illinois teams. Seriously, I mean, are there? This is just a side note, but was there one other player from that era that gets talked about? I mean, I know that there were not a lot of players.
Not like Red Grange.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He did everything, apparently.
He was ESPN did best college football players all time. Number 2 was Barry Sanders. Number 1 was Red Grange. ILL.
AKA Viangelo Bentley equals Red Grange.
Right. Yeah, he's well on his way. I would say.
When we get back from break, we're gonna. You got
We didn't really answer your question.
I gotta skip it after that. I got no comment after that. We get back from break. We're gonna touch a little bit on the. We briefly talked about the Nebraska game, so we're gonna talk about that a little bit more in depth. And do the Illini have a chance? We'll find out after this.
Hi, this is Terry Boris from the Score, and you want to know what my guilty pleasure is? I love Illini Drive.
Welcome back to the Illini Drive. I'm Torrance Sorrell, and we're gonna switch off, talk a little bit more Illini football, and do the Illini have a chance? I wanted to have you guys think about that a little bit during break. Against this Nebraska team, one person I think of about this team is Amir Abdullah.
And that's why they don't have a chance.
And if you're not familiar with him, he ran for a career high of 225 yards and 2 touchdowns against Illinois last year.
Yeah, I remember watching that. And first of all, I don't know why they're playing at Nebraska 2 years in a row. I mean, I think the schedule kind of screwed them on that one. But, Abdullah is a beast. I think the real question should be, is he going to break this career high this week? I could see it. I can see it.
I was just fixing this mic here.
You want to talk now?
No, yeah, I wanted to just what is his career high right now? And it was against Illinois, right?
He says career high at the time last year. Did he break that since then?
Probably. We're gonna have Jeff. We're gonna have Jeff check. I doubt it, but we're gonna have Jeff check on it.
I know he was the co-offensive player of the week this week in the Big Ten.
We also have Joey Gelman, studio.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, I'm back.
Back.
Sorry, I had a day trip to Chicago and tried to get back just in time, so I apologize. But I know the show is safe with this band of crazies and clowns in here, so thank you for filling the void.
No problem.
Torrance likes to hear himself talk anyway.
That's true.
So just he's still checking. I think he ran for 229, I believe.
Is that this past week?
Checking on that.
Well, I mean, while you're looking that up, I think that
We're just having some mic difficulties here, but I think that do they have a chance to win? No. Do I think that they have a chance to compete for some of the game? I think yes. I think that's, and I think as we were saying before the break, that would be a I hate saying it, but like a moral victory.
Moral
victory.
Yeah.
How many of those they had last year?
Too many. Because that means you didn't actually win. I mean, this whole game is gonna be decided in the first 8 minutes or so. I mean, if the Illini get down 14-0, it's just over. They'll get blown out. But if they're able to put a touchdown up early and kind of keep Nebraska in check early on and hang around, I mean, anything can happen. I don't think they'll win. I don't think they have much of a chance. But if they get down early, they will get blown out.
Yeah, I mean, the trend's been, and we've seen it the past couple of weeks, just getting down early, and that's the big issue. And there is that confidence in the team when they can kind of come back, and they have the offense to do it. It's just a much more difficult style, and it really makes you one-dimensional when you're out. And even though Lunt is probably good enough to bring you back, it puts a lot of pressure on him, on the offensive line, and it really hurts you. And we saw, like this week, running game was much better with the career day for Ferguson there. But just if you get down so early, it's a difficult spot to really come back around in, and you just hope they can stop this team defensively, because still, at least from what I've seen, defense still isn't where it needs to be. Even though Tim Banks has been praising the improvements, it's still not even close to where it should be, especially for a Big Ten team here.
Yeah, they just have to make Armstrong, Nebraska's quarterback, beat him. I mean, if you have to load up the box to stop Abdullah, you take your chances with Armstrong, because I mean he's by no means an elite quarterback. He's a competent quarterback, but he's not elite. So you have to make him beat you. You can't let Abdullah run for 200 plus again.
But lucky for Nebraska, it doesn't exactly take an elite quarterback to beat to beat the Illini.
Real quick, Jeff just looked up the info. He ran 229 yards and had 2 TDs against Miami, and they won 41-31
against the U. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so that was his career high this
past week.
Yeah, past weekend.
Okay. Yeah, I think he can absolutely.
Yep, still thinking he could.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, on offense, for Illinois, the problems are still there. I mean, if you take out 2 runs by Ferguson, he only has about 60 yards. He had 75 on the first play. In the fourth quarter, he had 60 on 1 run. But I'm not sure they're even really concerned about getting the running game going. I mean, Cubitt will go drives at a time without calling run plays.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't even really seen. Sorry about that. Like any substantial attempts at putting a whole game together like we did in this past one at Texas State with Ferguson. So I don't think that they're still. I mean, we talked about it earlier, but I don't think that they're set on any kind of this is how many times we want to get them out there or anything or any game planning that way.
And I think that happens because you're down in a couple of these games so early, and the issue is with that. I don't know. At least for me, I've seen this offense, at least even in the passing game, do a lot of dink and dunk passes and a lot of little short ones, maybe to Dudek or Allison, whomever, but going a little bit across the middle. And they're not really taking those big shots, whether it's over the middle of the field longer or going to the sidelines. And it just really makes it difficult, because I think you're trying to be really safe, because you don't want these games that you're supposed to win to get out of hand in the other direction, that they haven't been able to really implement that full game plan, therefore not allowing that running game to even get a chance at really taking off in the middle or even the beginning of a game, just to establish something to say, hey, we're a balanced offense here. We can do this. Just hadn't gotten the chance, and going into Big Ten play makes it even tougher.
Right.
Hopefully you have some of those guys like Ernest Thomas and Geronimo Allison come back. I know Beckman touched on that during the presser.
Yeah, I think Thomas is cleared to be back, so he'll be back. But yeah, a guy like Tico Powell, they said they don't know. He was in a walking boot on Saturday. I kind of doubt he'll be back.
Okay. So we're going to switch off now. We're going to transition a little bit to a little bit more technical aspect. We want to learn a little bit more, get our little thinking caps on.
We're getting educated over here.
Yeah. We got a little, that's the thing about this show, too. It's not just sports. We learn a little bit more on here, too, every day. Heather Schaefer is in the building. She's going to talk a little bit of ACL injuries to us. She is the ACL expert, and she is from Champagne's Accelerated Physical Therapy. Am I correct?
Yep, you got it.
All right, so just, first of all, how you doing today?
I'm doing very well, thanks. How are you?
I'm fine. So just for starters, I guess talk a little bit about what you do at the therapy program.
So I'm a physical therapist and the facility manager for accelerated rehab here in town. From a physical therapy standpoint, our job is to take an injury and diagnose really what's going on, what's causing the pain, and how do we fix it. You can take 10 people who have knee pain with running, and it could be any number of things that's causing it. It may be from a hip weakness standpoint, an IT band issue, an issue with a worn out meniscus. There's any number of things that could be contributing to it based on your age, your movement pattern, strength, joint restrictions, and it's our job to figure out what's causing the pain and how we're going to fix it.
And sorry to cut.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, how often have you seen, just because we're talking about ACLs today, how often have you been seeing that in the last few years come through the doors?
I would say right now at the clinic we have at least 5 or 6 patients who are post-op ACL.
Are those athletes or just?
Right now, I think all are college students from an undergrad to a grad school standpoint, and all were either recreational or competitive injuries.
Okay. And obviously the big injury that we're probably going to be talking about is Tracy Abrams on the Illinois basketball team. He hurt it, I think it was in a non-contact drill. You hear that a lot with these knee injuries. It's just something, simpler, making a cut and the knee just gives out. I mean, can you just kind of talk about that? It just seems so strange. It's a normal movement, and then it's such catastrophic damage.
So the ACL, are you guys familiar with what the ACL actually is?
Kind of. Wait, we're here to learn. I got my pen ready for notes.
So your ACL it's the acronym for your anterior cruciate ligament. You have your ACL and your PCL that are inside the knee joint, and they're the cruciate ligaments because they actually cross over each other inside the knee joint. Then you have your MCL and LCL that are on the outside. And the MCL and LCL, a lot of times will be strained, but those aren't ones that you typically repair surgically. PCL, it's very, very rare. I've never seen a PCL tear without something else going on. So your ACL is the one that you see torn most commonly. The reason for that is you plant your foot. If you think about your knee, when you plant your foot, your tibia, so that lower leg bone, tends to shift forward, and something has to keep it from giving out. Your ACL is what prevents the tibia from shifting too far forward and the knee from buckling. Now, if you think from a sports standpoint, the most common thing that causes that ACL to tear is what's called a valgus force or a hyperextension force. So either your knee's overlocking out and it's giving out and you're having it buckle, or you're planting your foot and your knee's falling in and it's too much stress for the knee to take. A couple different things that predispose you to that can be hip weakness. It can be already kind of a little bit of a strain where you're already overloaded it. But if you don't have the hip strength and that stability when you plant and push off, if the knee falls in and you pivot on it, so the ACL is already in a taut position, and then you pivot and the knee gives, and it's just too much stress for that ligament to take. It's not a tissue that has the ability to stretch. It's firm. Its whole job is to not let the knee give, and if you overstress it, that's when it tends to tear.
How does it vary with age? I know you touched on that.
Biggest thing from an age standpoint, most of your ACL injuries that you see are in your younger population. So you think from a high school to college sports standpoint, that's where most of those tears happen. Now you'll see them later on with kind of your weekend warriors who are out. Like my brother's 31, and he just tore it playing basketball. So he just finished his whole rehab process. But anyone who's really past that college age is typically people who are still active in sports, active in kind of your indoor soccer leagues, your rec leagues, pickup basketball, anything like that.
Is basketball the most common sport that gets ACL injuries? That people that come in and need help, or football, or is it a specific sport?
Lately, we've seen quite a few with ultimate frisbee.
Wow.
Ultimate frisbee, basketball, soccer, some football as well, depending on the position. But any of the sports that require you to be able to cut and change directions quickly, and those are typically what your non-contact injuries are. Is you're planting your foot, you're trying to push a different direction, and the knee just can't take the stress.
So the whole debate usually you see is whether someone goes quickly and directly for surgery or they wait a little bit. So I'm just curious, what's kind of the mindset and decision making behind that? Does it depend on the severity or just the nature of how the injury occurred, where you're running to a doctor saying, let's get a surgery so this player can be back at the quickest amount of rehab time, or is it sometimes better to wait?
So it's very, very seldom. I don't think I've ever seen an emergent ACL repair. Typically the ones where it's we need to get you in right now, or when it's a tear of a tendon as opposed to a ligament. So a tendon goes from a muscle, inserts into a bone, so you think like your Achilles tendon. You rupture your Achilles, that muscle has the opportunity to contract. And then it ends up shortening, so you can't repair it optimally because the muscle itself is shortened, and then you're trying to stretch out a tissue to repair it, and it just doesn't work. Same thing typically if you have a full thickness rotator cuff tear. So you can have a tear partway through the muscle, and then it's not as urgent, whereas if you tear it all the way through, they don't want that muscle to shorten because then you're not going to be able to repair it as easily. With a ligament, most often as the ACL, there's really no rush to get in because the tissue that you're repairing isn't going to shorten. The bigger concern with an ACL surgery is making sure you have the strength and the range of motion going into surgery, so when you come out, you're able to really get into that rehab process and progress according to what you want to see with a protocol. If you were to take someone who's immediately after their injury, they've got a ton of swelling in the knee, their range of motion's really poor and the quad isn't firing, you go and you do surgery on that, then you come out and you've given this whole other stress to the knee, and then it's going to make it 10 times, 20 times harder coming out. So you just don't see surgeons that do that. Typically what you see is people will go through a prehab before ACL surgery to work on range of motion, get the swelling down, get the pain under control, and get the muscles firing as well as they can. And then go into surgery once you have those things, and then the outcomes are much, much better, and you see a progression much more quickly with regards to strength and range of motion.
So for rehab for a high level Division I athlete, is it a full year to get back to 100%? I mean, what is kind of the timetable for a recovery?
So it depends entirely on the person. You can have one person who post-op ACL does great and they're returning. Most protocols, every surgeon tends to have their own protocol. The biggest concern with an ACL is trying to return too quickly, where you could either re-tear or end up stretching out the ligament itself, so then you have an unstable knee. Most protocols, you're looking at a return to running between 8 and 10 weeks. But that's not what you guys are thinking of is, hey, we're going to get out and go for a run.
Right.
Like, all right, you're going to walk on the treadmill for 4 minutes, and then let's try jogging for a minute.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
And then next time, all right, we'll do 4 minutes walking, 1 minute running. Let's try that 3 times in a row and see how it goes.
That sounds like a little much for me.
So your real return to sport, most doctors, most surgeons, you're looking at an average of 4 months is probably the earliest you'll see any return to sport, but more often that 5 to 6 month time period.
Something I always wondered is like when you see these things happen, like an ACL tear on TV or something to an athlete during a game. What's like the pain level like in the moment of tear? I guess is there any way that people have described that?
Luckily I've never had to experience that.
Yeah.
Knock on wood. I've been told by some people that it's extremely painful. More often than not, like you pivot, you feel your knee give out, and then you try to stand up, and it's very unsteady. I've worked with people. I think my brother called me and said, "Hey, this is what's happening." You need to get in and get that checked out because it's very typical of I planted, my knee twisted, it gave out, I stood up, it doesn't feel stable. Pain levels vary from person to person, largely because people's pain tolerance varies drastically. So I've had some people who say post-op their pain is worse than it ever was when they originally tore it. And other people who, well, it never really hurt when I tore it and it hurt later on. Well, that's because of how you adapt to the tear. You adapt how you're walking, how you're moving, so you're not getting into that unstable range.
What's like the
Go for it.
I was going to ask, what was the worst thing you probably witnessed while working there that you've seen in the tear? As far as like the worst type of injury you've seen, worst case scenario.
What do you mean?
As far as
diagnosis-wise or rehab-wise?
Probably diagnosis-wise.
That's really hard to say. I've been practicing for over 4 years.
Oh, wow.
So I've seen a lot of different injuries. I've seen from someone who I've seen humeral head fractures.
Ooh.
So you fall and you break the top of your upper arm bone. I've seen someone after a gunshot wound. I've seen several ACL tears, rotator cuff tears. I think the hardest thing for me is when someone wants to get back faster, then you know they'll be able to.
Right.
And typically that's someone post-op who wants to progress faster than they're able to do. And you know if they try to push that hard, then they're going to end up setting themselves back. I mean, that's the most challenging thing for me.
I have one quick question here. I know we have to go to break really quick. Seeing a lot more, it seems, at least in my experience, seeing a lot more of these injuries, a lot more current in a lot of sporting events, whether it's an ACL in basketball or football or a Tommy John surgery in baseball. And so I guess my question is, it seems like throughout many leagues, a lot of them are trying to cut down on practice times throughout a whole week, but they seem like they're much more intensive short practices. And so I'm curious if that extra strain in those short amount of time make people more susceptible to causing those injuries. 'Cause like you mentioned, overstress fracture or something like that can cause an ACL or a Tommy John or something to be more likely.
I wouldn't necessarily say that to be true.
Okay.
I think the bigger predisposing thing is not, instead of pushing, we're going to make sure you're strong, you're stable, we want to make sure you're safe, the push is, let's do everything we can. And sometimes you've got players who don't have the core strength of that stability. And if you've got someone who's just pushing, either you're pushing speed, you're pushing cutting, if you're not getting a balance with a practice. And I mean, it depends largely on coaches, it depends largely on the athlete. I wouldn't go so far as to say a shorter, more intense practice is going to increase that chance. Studies have shown the things that increase your chance of that injury are, specifically for the ACL, are weakness through the core, weakness through the hips, and instability that's causing your knee to fall in when you're doing those cutting motions. You want to decrease the risk of ACL injury, you've got to have a good screening process to identify the athletes that are at risk for that and treating those weaknesses before they get in the position where they're going to end up overstraining it and running that risk.
All right. I think that's it. Thank you for being here, for educating us.
Again, that's accelerated fitness.
Accelerated physical therapy.
Physical therapy. That's down by McDonald's, Neal Street and Kirby, right there in Champaign.
Okay. Do you have a Twitter?
Accelerated as a whole does have Twitter.
Okay.
What's the handle?
What's the handle?
Is it like at Accelerate?
Oh, you know.
we stumped her.
I'll let you know.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you for coming by.
No problem.
All right. We'll be back. We're going to touch a little bit more on Jameis Winston's case shortly after this.
Hi, this is Terry Boyce from The Score, and I know this for sure. Illini Drive is a really good show. You know how I know? Somebody told me.
Welcome to the Illini Drive, back on WPGU 107.1. Man, we've got a lot of learning.
The
today about yeah, the beat. Yeah, I'm like, man.
I mean, we gotta have something to bounce back.
Yeah, I know, right?
I like that touch, but I was ready to dance after that. UPTV does not want to see that, though.
Now or
We like to.
Thank you. Thank you to Heather for coming in and talking to us about that. I was saying during the break, I really hope none of us have to see her, at least at Accelerated, because that could mean that one of us has an injury. Not that any of us
That's why I stay on the couch.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I don't want to risk it, you know?
Yeah.
Going to be out for the Illini Drive season.
Definitely.
Jameis Winston, guys.
Famous Jameis.
This guy just keeps getting in trouble.
You know, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to say about Jameis. I mean, he's another one of these guys. It's like we saw kind of with Manziel last year. He's got all the talent in the world. He can't stay out of trouble.
And I think, it's frustrating because you see these guys, and I mean, I think that it's not every like elite talent, but I think that you certainly are seeing some of these guys who, like, you know, the way that they're treated and the way that the media treats them and fans treat them, they probably think that they can get away with really anything that they do. And in Jameis Winston's case, that's kind of true to this point.
It has to be. That has to be it, right?
Yeah. I mean, because this last thing that he did, the thing that he yelled, which we obviously can't say here on the radio, but the thing that he yelled apparently like at the Union.
He stood up on a table at the Union and yelled this in a crowded room.
And you just wonder, he knows who he is.
Right.
Why does he think? It's frustrating because he's such a. I mean, okay, on the football field, he's a great talent. He's probably the best talent, the best quarterback talent, and if he, if take away everything off the field, he's probably a number one top 3 pick or whatever in the NFL draft. But you got to question a guy who thinks that that's an appropriate thing to do, this is not. And again, this isn't the first thing that he's done either. There's been other things, much more serious things that have kind of been seemingly brushed under the rug. Probably a lot having to do with his name and who he is. And it's certainly something it's frustrating to watch because these guys are so talented and you just wonder why they can't just get it all together.
And that's why I was rooting really hard for Clemson just because, I don't know, I feel like something needs to get through this guy's head. And it's like now they won, and that was kind of their last hard game of the year. The ACC is a bit of a joke, and he's going to be back. But there's no consequences, really. I mean, he missed a game, but he'll be back next week. They'll still make the playoff, probably. I mean, there needs to be some accountability for him. And the reason he was suspended for half for this, and then amid all the NFL scandals, I guess, they bumped it up to a full game. Seemingly just got out of public pressure. And then he still comes out in the field in the full pads.
It's a joke.
That was crazy.
Yeah, I don't get, again, like, what he thinks he's doing.
I just don't get if you know who you are, which I hope he does.
Maybe he doesn't. Maybe that's the big problem.
I mean, we all say stupid things in the privacy of our own homes or wherever we are when you're hanging with friends or family, what have you. And I get that. Everyone's susceptible to that. And the nature of what he said was from a video earlier in the year of a stupid drunk fan at a football event saying what he said. But you don't get up in the middle of the Union and scream it, especially if you're him, who's coming off of, a year of great football, but also a year of a countless number of allegations against him in the sexual assault and rape category. And not to lighten that up, I mean, that's a big deal on college campuses and what have you, but it's amazing to me that if he's under that, scrutiny and investigation, which needs to be done by the school, because if true, it's a horrendous thing that if he's done, if that's true, but that's on the back of everyone's mind, media, school, fans, family, what have you. So to then come back out and do something as dumb as he did in a Union setting where it's just preaching to the world almost, I don't know how you can think of that. And it's just, it's surprising because, yes, Florida State's a phenomenal football school, but boy, you hope they just instill some morals and sense of accountability into their own players.
I sort of wonder. I mean, I've a question for you guys, and that's just something I've been really wondering about with a guy like Jameis Winston. Do you think that this? I think Steve, you were telling me Mel Kiper dropped him down.
Dropped him down to into the 20s onto the big board.
Yeah, and I just wonder. I mean, if you're an NFL team or an NFL executive GM, I mean, is this stuff that he's doing? Is that impacting where you're picking him if you have a top 3, top 5 pick?
It has to. I mean, the quarterback in the NFL, you are the face of a multi-million-dollar corporation.
Right.
That is an NFL team. And so if you're investing, especially, a top pick, like if you miss on a top pick, that sets you back 5 years, because you have to have a great quarterback to be in this league. So I think a lot of teams would say, you know what, he's a great talent, but he's not worth it. And we're not going to, sacrifice our standards to try and take a chance on this guy.
I think last year it might have not. And even though there was the whole big Johnny Manziel, Johnny football fiasco with all of his pictures on social media, it just appears that, he's doing what a normal 21 college-year-old student would probably be doing. And if there wasn't social media, no one would know what he's doing. But I feel like in the light of all this NFL business we've been dealing with the past couple of months.
Every week.
Yeah, every week. With Ray Rice, Adrian Peterson, Hardy, everyone you can think of. We're seeing the true reality of these players on a surface, and it's going national. And so I think now that you're seeing the truth of just kind of what kind of guys these are, now if there's any kind of red flag, which Winston is now parading around after this last incident, it absolutely has to affect him. And it's sad because he's such a good football player. But I think now, even more than ever, these NFL franchises are going to be even more stricter on who they draft, who they're considering, based on character traits now, because everything's out in the open.
And you brought up Manziel. I think I'm not sure he dropped because of the off the field stuff. I think there's football reasons why he dropped.
Yes, it's a combination, but yes.
I do wonder if he was an absolute like class act, and I'm talking about Manziel here, and he, presented himself in a way that was like exactly the way that any franchise would want him to. You do wonder if that had something to do with it. I understand that there were clearly on field, the way that he was like his skill set or whatever.
He's 5'10".
Yeah. And I think that had.
What do you got against short people?
I want to play quarterback.
And I think that, Joey, to touch on something that you said, I think NFL teams now know also that these things that happen aren't going to be 2-game suspensions.
Right.
I mean, these can be. Who knows? We'll see what happens with some of these, with all the guys who have now been suspended indefinitely or whatever the things may be. Kind of going forward, but I think that they know that there's now going to be, and I do think that it's going to, these the pre-draft interviews and all these things. I think they're going to have to, and these when they're doing looking to their backgrounds, they're going to have to really take these things in consideration because the NFL, under the pressure that they're under now, I don't think they're going to start tolerating a lot. I mean, it's we can even talk about why it's ridiculous that it's taken this long for them to kind of say that they're not going to put up with this stuff, but. I think going forward, it's going to be something that they're going to have to consider more greatly or whatever.
And the draft is so far away. I mean, especially in the late timetable, in the NFL, that's an eternity away. I mean, we could be looking at a whole different landscape come April. But I think, the thing that concerns me with Winston is I saw on SportsCenter, this was about his 5th off the field incident in 2 years. I can't name them all. He stole crab legs.
I still can't believe that.
No, he forgot to pay.
Right. How do you forget to pay, man?
And a company, FSU Free Seafood University,
and of course this.
Oh my God!
But this isn't. I mean, we're laughing about this stuff because it is funny. But then there have been obviously much more serious allegations towards him, and I think those are the things that NFL teams. I think even though a lot of the stuff he's done have been just stupid, I think that when you start talking about some of the more serious stuff that he's been, that all these allegations that have been going around, that's really the major concern here, I think.
That's why it's such a bigger deal, is because you look at a guy like Manziel, there's silly issues. It's college issues where, he was partying too much or setting a bad image for the team. That's one side. But for Winston to say what he said on the heels of what's been accused of him, there's no way he can't drop, because the actions that are alleged and accused of what he's done in the past are 10 times more serious than anything Manziel's been caught with on camera. If Manziel's passed out on whatever the duck he was with on the duck with the money spread everywhere and the sunglasses. No, sorry. Yes, after I said that, I thought about it. I didn't mean to play it that way.
He was really.
I know that's so bad.
the duck that he was sitting on, passed out with sunglasses and the money, that's just a stupid looking picture. Shouldn't be on Twitter, and he's dumb for it. But on the heels of the seriousness that Jameis Winston's been accused of, there's no way that can't affect him. And with the light of what's happened in the NFL, there's no way they can take that lightly.
Is he ever gonna grow up and mature?
Jameis? No.
It doesn't look like it.
I don't think so. I mean, this isn't, people make mistakes, and that's something that I think everybody pretty much acknowledges. Mm. And then people, make mistakes, that's a couple mistakes, or maybe you make a lot of mistakes. But, considering he has this opportunity, he's great talent, why he can't just get it all together and just realize that this stuff is going to affect him in the future. I don't see him maturing, because he hasn't yet.
I mean, he's only a sophomore.
And I know but you grow up a lot faster than that.
Yeah, I don't think that's an excuse.
No. Now, what I'm looking forward to is inevitably he will be on John Gruden's QB camp.
This guy, that guy, those
this ball boy? Red Lightning?
I'm just looking forward to it because John Gruden is going to pull out a thing of crab legs and go, you know these guys?
He's not going to pause it. He's going to play and rewind and play and rewind.
They're going to get the security footage from the store.
No, the NFL's not good at getting security footage on time.
Well, the NFL can't get it, but Gruden probably.
Yeah.
Gruden can get
The
whatever he
Fired
wants.
Football Coaches Association, they could get their hands on it.
That's funny. But I guess, and just this is interesting just about colleges, too, and this landscape. And you can't blame it all on these colleges and not being able to kind of control their student athletes and really groom them, I guess, into what people they should be. But it really begs the question of what are these guys doing in college to not teach them to kind of get these moral values up? It kind of adds to the already bad stereotype of college football, especially these big-time programs that they're strictly there for football and aren't really taking in any of the necessary life skills learned that really take up 3/4 of many people's college career, but these football guys, just a sliver of what's supposed to be $1 million cakewalk.
And it's just strange because I'm not saying that this doesn't happen, but how has not one person gone up to Jameis Winston and again, I'm not saying it hasn't happened, but
right.
It surely is confusing if it has, and just go up to him and say, just stop doing stupid stuff, right? Because
it's really
it's
easy
sad
to stop.
I'll do it. I'll go up to him and I'll just say, Jameis, you're a great talent. Now stop being dumb, and you could get drafted and really high and have a great NFL career probably.
Yeah,
but
tough guy.
Apparently nobody. Yeah,
it's Sam Sherman doling out the tough love.
I know, right?
But here's the sad thing, and then the other again, the Clemson game, he's suspended for that game, and there's nothing is shown more in that game than Jameis Winston's standing on the sidelines, and so he's going to get the attention whether he does stupid stuff or doesn't, and that's why I think that for him it's like he doesn't see a reason really to stop it because.
And he's coming back. He's probably going to kick butt next week. It's not even like it's a blink of an eye, right?
Yeah. Win another Heisman, or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I'll win another Heisman. But you said Mariota.
No, I do. No, I do think. I'm just saying.
The run. It's like that style.
He may as well just like.
Oh.
Yeah. Because
okay.
He doesn't. Yeah. Stupid stuff or not stupid stuff. That's the thing is that he clearly has it on the field. But I do think I like Mariota.
You like Mariota.
Marcus Mariota. Yeah.
This guy.
This guy.
You said that's the perfect John Gruden name, Marcus Mariota.
Marcus Mariota. Yeah.
Because then he's gonna start counting the syllables in there.
Yeah.
Like
although
at Rico, you know these syllables, man.
Although the best Gruden name was the Texas State quarterback. I thought that if we got Tyler Jones here.
We really got to work on our Gruden impressions.
Yeah, we're pretty bad. I apologize.
I can't wait for the Bears game tonight, by the way.
Which John Gruden will be on the call for.
Yes, he will.
Gruden and Tirico.
Tirico.
Yeah.
That's it, guys.
Thank you for steering us in the right direction.
Torrance just is over here, just with he's shaking his head and giving us these judgmental looks.
Hey, no, man, we having fun, man. We having fun. That's what's most important.
And you're gonna use that duck line for the rest of the year. I know it. So I just dug myself a hole.
That and the Beckman 3-1 forever.
3-1 forever.
Yeah. Man, this is a fun show, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, I'll stay. Maybe I'll be here on time next time.
Yeah. It's fun hosting. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm taking it right back next week.
Again, thank you to Heather for coming in and talking to us about a thing that I'm going to speak for myself, but maybe all of you I knew nothing about. We always hear about ACL tears and things like that, but really breaking it down was really helpful, I think.
Yeah, agreed.
That's it, guys. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of Daily Illini Drive. Everything, etc. I'm so used to doing a sportscast. There's no sportscast tonight.
It's a big show.
This is the big boy show. Once again, I agree. Thanks, Heather, for coming out, giving us more knowledge of ACL tears. And also follow us on Illini Drive, at Illini Drive. And also catch us on UPTV this Wednesday at 9 p.m. on my birthday because I said so. And tune in next week. Thank you and have a great day.